welcome back to another Thursday night Twilight drop ride here in Carterville, Illinois. This week, we're looking at a little something different than last week, but here's our goals for the week. Have fun, no group sprints, and ride a little bit smarter than I did last week where I got dropped by Nico. We got a few different players. We have Hank, Jeff, Rob, and of course me this week. A few people had to take off, but that isn't going to change anything.
Good luck, have fun.
We're still going to ride hard.
Rubber side down.
And once again, good luck, have fun, rubber side down. And as we're coming up here to the start finish line, I think my power data is off by just a little bit. It's a little early, but that's okay. We can get an idea of what's happening here. I kind of just bring us up to speed, 28, 29 mile an hour. This unfortunately splits the group. So, as I said, I wanted to keep it together just a little bit more, but ultimately no group sprints. Hank came with me, was able to follow on the wheel, and as I just said there to him, I said, hey, let's let everybody kind of come back and we'll kind of roll turns. So Hank pulls, he pulls off, I pull again. So Hank and I are trading 1-for-1 pulls here, while Rob and Jeff have to claw their way back on. And after a little while, I pull off, and as you can see here, we have Rob and Jeff back all together. So we have 4, which is nice. Not too much longer. Jeff takes a pull, which I don't know. I think if I was Jeff, I would have just not taken a single pull and sat on the whole time. But hey, it is what it is. So here kind of comes the first half-hearted attack. Kind of anytime I was on the front, I would put in these little digs on the uphills. So I think there's 2 uphills that I ended up on the front for, and each time I just kind of put on the power a little bit, sit upper 400s and see what happens. For this one, as you can tell, we're doing 25, 26 mile an hour, but here in just a second you'll kind of see what this does to the group. It definitely impacts the ride as it goes by. So see here, I pull off to the side, and 2 riders left. Jeff ended up getting dropped on that little bit, and then here comes the first real big attack. Hank is a big guy, lots of power. I didn't want to mess with that. I sent it right over the top of him, finishing up his pull, and I knew that I had Rob on my wheel, but there's nothing I can do about that. Rob's a strong guy, but he's also a lot smaller than me, so I wasn't as worried about his overall power, his position in the sprint, but definitely not his overall power. And as you can see here, we're going through 1 lap to go. So we attacked with just 1 lap to go. I kind of flicked him through before this, and he didn't want to come through, and I pulled a little bit longer, then flicked him again, and he kind of gave me that look, and then you can kind of see he's, I don't know if I want to work. Did he realize the gap was opening, and he gets on it. So I just hang out here, and coming up here is the strategic finishing of my last actual pull for the race. We're about halfway through the lap, and what I kind of wanted to do was the same thing I did to Hank, was make Rob pull, and as he's about to pull off, attack him. But Rob is a very savvy racer, and he's like a Cat 2 or something like that, Cat 2, high Cat 3, and as you can see here, he's going to see this coming from a mile away. Put in this dig. I ultimately get a gap on him initially, but I saw that after putting in this dig and rolling for a little bit, I kind of looked back over my shoulder to see if I had a gap, because we still have time to recover. And I realized he's just pulling me back, so I just shut it down here. Push hard enough to make him work, but to get back on the wheel, but not so hard that he's not going to catch, because he was going to catch either way. I stood no chance. He's an absolute motor, and right about here is where he catches back on. And as you can tell, this is where the cat and mouse comes through. I swing all the way to the right into the gutter, and just so that way I can keep an eye on him. I'm looking back over my shoulder every few seconds here, and I'm listening to see if he's downshifting. And as you can tell, we're doing like no watts, like 150 watts or so, even less. And in traditional fashion, I knew the attack was coming as we're coming here to the end of the straight, and you can see my power ramping up. I heard him shift, he's going, and boom, there he goes. He attacks kind of into this last little uphill section, and I feel like this was kind of his way of saying, this is my move. If I don't get away here, that's it. I close back onto his wheel because I kind of had my heart rate down a little bit, and we kind of roll into the finish. As you can tell, this week's a little bit more strategic towards the end when compared to last week, where it was very much just Nico rides me off his wheel and then laughs all the way to the finish. And you can kind of see here that Rob is doing exactly the same thing I was doing. He's not quite as close to that right side, but he is definitely looking over his shoulder every chance he can. And funny thing about this sprint was there was another group out on the road, kind of headed in the opposite direction of us, and we were kind of riding into them, and I can see them coming, and behind them was a truck. But I was like, how much longer do I leave this? You can kind of see them up there, and I just took off and sprinted and was like, I hope I don't run into them. It's kind of the whole thing. Got up to speed and ended up hitting like 136 cadence there. Not ideal, but I had a pretty big gap, shifted a few times, and just kind of coasted across the line. As you can see there, the lights in the headline. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Like, favorite, and subscribe.